Oh my goodness. What an absolute rusty mess. How in the world are we ever going to fix all of this? Well, let's figure it out. Welcome back, shop rats. Today here in the shop we are back on the Stitches Challenger doing more of that cab floor pan fabrication. Just a note, this is episode 300 on the channel. Can you believe it? That's crazy. I'm not sure where we're going to be at with our subscribers by the time we hit this episode, because it won't air for a month from today, because I'm that far ahead on my production schedule right now. But I was thinking about doing a special celebration for 300 episodes, but as of today we are about 30 subscribers away from hitting our 1,000, and I think I would rather do something to celebrate that. So you'll probably have already seen that by the time this airs. Anyway, you're not here about all of that chit-chat. You're here to watch me make a fool of myself and continue fabricating floor pans for the Stitches Challenger, right? So we could keep talking or we could just get after it. Let's watch the show intro. I'll see you in about 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
In our last episode, we completed the rear seat passenger footwell area on the driver's side. And what I want to do is go ahead and move forward and get the rest of that part done, probably up until about the front of the front seat, where that would be. So we've got some analyzing and figuring to do on all of that. And I need to look at my sheet metal brake and see if it's even going to be capable of what I'm going to do. Now, here's the thing. I share everything with you, the good, the bad, the ugly. I share stuff what I'm doing when the equipment isn't working right. I want you to have a realistic expectation and a realistic view of what it's like to do what I do. I know somebody commented just recently about how relieved they were for me to talk about and show just how long things take. It can be deceptive when we watch a lot of builds on YouTube and television when they go so fast, and it seems like it takes us a month to do what they accomplish in a relatively short time, like a 30-minute or a 1-hour episode. And that's just not realistic, and that's really my goal. Now, we know that I tend to go about things the hard way on this project, that's a note, this project. I chose to do this all by hand fabricating, to do things that you can do in your home with just a few simple tools. We really try to apply what we're doing to what the average common guy can do in their shop and show them skills and techniques that they may not use themselves, but that will inspire them to try something different and maybe not have to spend so much money. Let's face it. I have almost no money in this car. At this point, I think I have less than $3,000 in this car, including the purchase price as well as the purchase price for the motor. And somebody just asked me to do a price update on where I'm at with it, and I am going to do that soon. And that's part of it, is to say we can take what is normally a high dollar car, if we're willing to do our due diligence and work hard, stretch our skill sets, learn to do new things, and we can put a car like this back on the road so that we can be enjoying it. And it doesn't have to cost us $50,000 or $100,000 to do it. Remember, there's an episode here on the channel talking about $75,000 to restore the Challenger. I can't afford that. Well, I can't. I can hardly afford what I'm doing on this now, but the fact is I'm doing it, not sitting on my butt doing nothing. I'm actually doing the work, and you can too, and that's what I want to encourage you. There's a lot you can do. So, all right, enough for the intro after the intro about the intro, and let's just get into the work. We need to figure out how to make this profile and this chunk of floor here for the other side. Now, this piece obviously needs a lot of repair, and we've not gotten over here for any of this. We're still working over there. We've got the footwell parts done, but now it's time to start moving forward and getting this under seat chunk done. And let's admit it, that to fabricate this, there's many ways it could be done, but The most expedient way and the most efficient way and the most accurate way is what I'm always pushing myself to do. So I have some ideas, but one of the challenges is I don't necessarily have anything that I can profile off of to make this. Now, I need to go over and find the metal that I cut out there. I still have it. I keep all of my old rusty metal for templates and patterns, and see if there's anything that I may be able to just use to kind of make myself a little pattern. The good news is I found it. The bad news is it's pretty punky, but I think I can probably get enough out of here, which is good. There's the seat mount over there, so that's good. I'm not that worried about that. What I really need is a section from here to here of this so that I can profile that out and then make a sample piece in the sheet metal break and go from there. So I'm going to see what I can salvage from this, but I got to get my temporary bench set up over there and so forth so that we can work on this. And this is one thing that I just want to clarify is this is why I keep all the old rusty metal and I try to keep it as intact as much as possible, because this is the stuff that I use to make patterns. The tendency a lot of people have is to either sandblast everything away or cut everything away or whatever. And if that does, then this is all gone and I have nothing to work with. I have nothing to pattern from, which is fine if you're buying everything, but when you're making everything, it's a completely different world. I think the section I'm going to try to salvage is going to be from, like, I don't know. We'll try to maybe do this right in here and just pull that piece out. So I'm going to have to get you guys on the tripod and get out my snips and start cutting this a little bit to see what we can create. There's another thing here we also need to be aware of. When Mother Mopar made this stuff, she tended to use patterns. So if you'll notice that diameter here is the same as the one here, and the diameter here is the same as the one here. And so that really works to our advantage, because what I probably am going to do is create two pieces just like this, where I have this width, these two grooves and pockets, and then this width. And then we'll lather, rinse, and repeat that for down here. Of course, this is all about the other side, but you get the idea. So if I make two pieces, that should give me what I need, and then we can create a fill piece. Now we'll probably make this out of 3 pieces of metal and then just weld it all together, and it will be one, and you will really not be able to tell that much that it's not one piece of metal. That's the plan. We'll see. You know, I've not made a piece like this before, so this is the challenge, which is why I'm doing this project. It's to stretch my abilities, to challenge myself to do something that I've never done before and maybe a lot of other people haven't done. Okay, so we've got our little pattern piece here now, and that fits perfectly right there. And it fits perfectly right there. So we know that that's the dimensions there that we need to duplicate in a couple of pieces. And I don't think I have a piece that's going to work here. But you can see that this is a little bit skinnier, so I may just be able to calculate that. And the same thing here. So I've got to figure out exactly how I want to pattern this. What I may do is make a template piece or make a temporary piece like this. This is probably what I'll do, is I will make a temporary piece like this and then calculate how wide the next one has to be and then weld them together and make sure that they fit perfectly, you know, boom, 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 boom. Because I don't think there's any metal over there with this skinnier pattern that I can use to make this template. Took a few minutes to fabricate up this little brake stop for the sheet metal brake. I think this is going to solve the issue that I'm concerned about, because now I have an adjustable stop with a jam nut that I can control how far this comes up. So if I want a slight bend, or I want more of a bend, or I want more of a bend. And if I want a 90 degree, I just have to take this off. So that's going to work nice for these angles that I need to make in that little piece of floor. Okay, this took a while. I had a couple of trial and error pieces before I got it somewhat close. So this is a pretty good template. It fits down in there pretty good. I think it'll be acceptable for what I'm doing here. Unfortunately, my sheet metal brake doesn't bend the way I need one to make this efficiently, and there's no easy way to modify my brake for that. So I'm kind of stuck with what I got, of course, and that's part of this, is making things with the tools that you have. I'm not going to go and buy a bunch of stuff to do this. I'm going to do the best I can with what I have to make this. So this is my template, and you'll notice that I've cut grooves. I stole this idea from Fitzy. I've cut grooves where each one of those things is, so that I can take this, hammer it flat on a new piece of sheet metal, and know where my bends have to be. So that's going to work okay for me, I think. I'm going to make a piece probably about so wide to put in the one spot on the driver's side between the floor and the subframe connector to start, see how that works, and then we'll adjust it as we make the bigger ones. I'm fortunate that over on the passenger side, most of that floor is pretty good, at least pending me wire brushing it on both sides and seeing if anything else shows up. But to the touch, it feels pretty good, so I don't think we're going to just have a few spots to patch, which we might be able to use something like this for. But so I got to get a piece of sheet metal to do on this side and see how it goes. So I got my first little piece of metal cut out to where I'm going to put this, but in order to make this work, I need to hammer this flat first. So we'll do that. Okay, so now I've got my gauge. And good. We should be able to, hopefully, maybe, get this laid out on there. I think I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, that's going to be a challenge. Hold on a sec. All right, I've made the executive decision. I'm going to start with this edge right on this back edge here. Okay, this edge right on this back edge here. And then we'll go up from there. I guess I didn't do a very good job of making this square, but it'll work. It'll be fine. So we're just going to score this up. I need to go find my scribe. It's probably hanging out with the Pharisees. That would be sad, you see. Okay, so that one's on that edge. We're good. Then here. Okay, then we're going to come down to the same end down here and just do the same thing. Hopefully this is going to work. Oops, is that a cut? Yes, it is. Okay. It's black paint, it's hard to see. I may need to go ahead and paint this. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some paint on this. It'll make it a lot easier to describe this and see where stuff is at. All right, we've got our little scribe marks on there now. So we're going to go ahead and put little cuts in each one of those spots. And the reason for the cuts is that way, as we're bending it, we can flip it and we know we're in the exact spot on both sides rather than trying to transfer those lines over. So thanks, Tony, for the tip. I know you're subscribed here. I don't know if you're watching, but I really appreciate it. I've used this quite a bit, actually. I'm just not sure that I've talked about it, but always learning something. So . Okay, now we know that we have our lines and we can start going and doing our bending, I hope. And the first thing I did was bend that one the wrong way, so I've got to go and that out and fix it. Remember that with metal, you didn't screw it up so it's not fixable. You just hammer it back out and you're good to go. So that's my first bend. This one needed to be this one needed to be this way, and I went that way. So easy enough to straighten out, no big deal. Not too bad. Not perfect, but the best I can do with this piece of equipment, short of taking this piece of angle iron off and on every time, which I may end up doing for the bigger pieces. But for a start, we'll go see how this fits. I know I got to do a little hammer and dolly because it's a little bit wider here than it is here. It's the limitations of this particular brake. But I think maybe in taking this off, it'll work. So what I'm going to try to figure out how to do is just like use 2 bolts, hopefully, so that it just buzzes on and off real quick for each bend. Yeah, it's a pain, but again, you use the tools you have. As is pretty normal when you're making something for the first time, it takes a while to sort it out. So I spent most of my time today just figuring out how, and there's going to be some lather, rinse, and repeat, of course, to do it for in there. But my goal, of course, is to get this done up to this point here, and we're getting close. So we've got to make another piece here. Trying to decide if I'm going to just go ahead and do that, make this other little chunk here first, which I think I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So, gotta go over to the other side and kind of see how that's made. I think I got it, but you know, there's always a little something there you gotta kind of figure out. So it's getting there. I'm slowly, and as we start stitching this together and filling and so forth, it's gonna turn out looking good. It's fun. I enjoyed this. This is like it's like building a puzzle. You got to think through all the pieces, and it stretches your mind and stretches your abilities, and that's the fun of it, in my opinion. So, I don't know if I said this or not, but basically this piece that we just made that goes in here, and again, it reemphasizes what I was saying about Chrysler does everything in patterns. The piece that's up here that we're working on next is basically this flipped upside down. So this edge here would meet with this edge here, I believe, and then dip down, and that creates the next chunk that we need. It may be just a little bit deeper in the car, but you know, this is just here for reinforcement. Nothing goes through it. I got to double check that, make sure the seat mount isn't in there, but close enough, and it's going to look good, it's going to be strong, and really that's what we're after here. All right, there we go, ready to cut our next piece. And I made sure that I made a note here to know that this was my down bend. So it's flat here, goes down, across, up, across, down, etc. I don't remember if I need all of this up here, but I'll go ahead and do it. I can always cut it off. It's no big deal. Okay, we're getting there. Things are starting to fit good back in here. A little bit of work to do there, but got to put a little fill piece down in here, but I already planned on doing that anyway. I need to attach these two together so that, and we'll cut and butt those or something so that they just fall right into place, but I'll tack these together to start. Once this is down, it'll fall right down in there, I believe, so we should be good. So yeah, we're getting there. I'm really not displeased with the way this is starting to look. Once we get these all as one, then we'll attach it to the back flange and we got some trimming and stuff, but overall it's angled down just a little bit, but until I get these two together, if you look at the other side, it actually angles down a little bit also, so no big deal. But it won't be as bad once this gets down where it belongs to be. So yep, little by little, one step at a time. So let's just go bzz, bzz, get those together and test fit it again. Got our pieces tack welded, so now we'll go through and we'll cut half, tack weld that so it's butted, cut the other half, tack weld it so it's butted, and then solid welded, or a bunch of bzz, 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 bzz on it. So check the temperature, we're nice and cool now, so we can go ahead and get half of it done to make all of that one piece of metal. As I've said so many times before, I can get like 3 to 4 times the life out of these discs because I have these small backing plates. So where I had this backing plate behind it before, switching it down, putting this one in, I'll take my cut off and cut it off, and now I'm getting down into this good part of the disc that I was never able to use before. I've mentioned it before, but I thought I'd mention it again because we got a lot of new subscribers here. And it's not an original idea of mine. I've seen it other places. I don't remember where I ran into it a long time ago. It's a thing. But I just thought I'd pass that along because these discs aren't cheap. And I always cut them like 1/4 inch or so, just a little bigger, and let them wear in naturally. Just use a little more of that grinding surface. All right, you can tell this is a pretty complex piece here that we're making. But we're getting really close now. I've got it welded, just tacked on. We got a little trimming to do and so forth. But the main thing now is I need to get these to just kind of fold in a little bit and fill in this gap. So that was my plan. And we'll get that done. And this is going to be real close to being able to put it in the car. We just got to fill those little gaps in. So one step closer. Got a little more grinding to do down in there. I'll do that on another day. But lots of little teeny spot welds to put this together. I'm not going to worry about these tabs back here, that's fine. Our pieces join together really nicely right in here. So I'm ready to shoot this and let it dry a little bit, and then we'll get it tacked in the car. So a lot of work for a very small part, but remember that a lot of this was proof of concept, figuring out how to make these bits. And it goes in the car like this. This is the front, this is the back. And I think once we shoot that up a little bit, it's going to look pretty good. There we go. Got a little patchwork to do in here, but that's neither here nor there right now. But our little piece there is in. Got a little grinding to do and some finishing, but I shot it with some satin black. It's still obviously wet. And then, but it's a big step forward. Now that's typical of the way I do it. Is I get it in there, get it so it's structurally good, and then have to come back and get after it. But it's close, actually. I did a fair bit of welding. There's just a few little pinholes here and there and a couple of other spots that need to be touched up, but overall not bad. So yeah, that was a challenge. I enjoyed that a lot. So we got to make the same thing, only over there and bigger. So that'll be our next project on the next episode here at
My Car's Shop.
I think it took me longer to do that little piece than it did to do the piece behind it in our last episode, but I learned a lot, which was the point. The first little piece took way longer than the second little piece because of having to configure everything over there on the sheet metal brake. Not ideal, but it worked. So, at the end of the day, using the tools you have saves a lot of money. I mean, let's be realistic. We have, I don't know what, under seat floor pans $400, rear seat floor pans probably $300-400. The front seat floor pan I just priced out because I was thinking about just buying it and putting it in. It was $400 plus a couple $100 shipping if anybody even had one. So for all the floor pans in there, correct me if I'm wrong, $1,000, $1,200 plus shipping. So add another, in this day and age, another $500 to ship those pieces. So we're looking at $1,500 worth of floor pans, maybe, for all that we did, and we've done it for those little pieces there. We've used a half a sheet of 4x8, which was $150, so $75. We haven't even used a half a sheet yet. We've used a half a sheet of 20 gauge on the whole car, so that little bit there, probably $30 worth of sheet metal, and about, I don't know, 10 hours of my time for those two little parts. I don't think that's bad. What will we have in the entire floor? Probably $150 worth of sheet metal. And let's say we'll have 50 hours of time, or 100, I don't know, 75 hours of time. Who cares? The point is, I've saved $1,000 just in the floor pans alone. And I got the satisfaction of making it myself, and that's the point. Pushing myself, stretching myself, challenging myself to see, can I do this? And so far, so good. So if it doesn't work, big deal. I cut it back out and I go out and buy a floor pan and put it in. What am I out except some time and a huge amount of education? And that's what it's all about. And that's what I want to encourage you with is, you don't have to do things the way people tell you. Do it the way you want to do it. Find stuff on YouTube that aligns with what you want to do and go for it. It's that simple. So my plan is, once we get the driver's side floor pan all roughed in and fabricated, then I'll go back and finish everything on that side. It's pretty much what I did on the frame rails when I built the frame rails on the back. I had a few things to finish up, but it's no big deal to just, once you're in that mode and in that mindset, you just hammer down and get after it and get welding. There's a couple little pieces of equipment I want to pick up that will make that easier. There's a magnetic little brass backer on a Cleco, not a Cleco, a thing that puts it down, it's magnetic, and that'll make my life a lot easier. Otherwise I have to have two people, and Eastwood has that, and I just haven't taken time to get that yet. It's probably $50, it's no big deal. But we're saving thousands and thousands of dollars the way we're doing this. But I'm having fun. Like I said, this is what I enjoy, and nobody can take that away from me. All right, that's going to do it on this episode. We'll be back with more floor pans. We're going to get that inner piece done probably in the next episode. Hopefully, that's a short episode because we've got things figured out and it goes faster. We'll see. I don't know. There'll always be something we run into, of course. We're on the Face thing. We're on Instagram /mycarshop. And one more thing.